Hello everyone, Dynamite Gaming here. I've been enjoying Super Mario Party Jamboree, but there is some serious problems that have been bugging me in this game, and I felt like talking about it in this video, and basically ranting a little bit, but I do hope they come out with some changes and patches that do improve the game's lifespan. I will say, this is still one of the best Mario Parties I've ever played, and the new side modes and the Koopathlon mode and the Bowser Kaboom Squad mode are incredibly fun and really neat new ideas. And I think the series in the future should expand on what's already there. Honestly, some of the best minigames I've played in Jamboree are from the Koopathlon mode and Bowser's Kaboom Squad. Like I said, I've been enjoying the game, I've been having fun, it really is a blast. But there are some serious issues with the game that hinder me from having the sort of experience I was hoping for. And it's a shame because all the boards are really good. Most of the minigames are fine. Like I said, the new modes they added are really fun. The online connection's been fairly consistent. But I do have some huge gripes that I hope will be fixed in a newer Mario Party. Because as it stands right now, in my opinion, Superstars is still at least slightly the better Mario Party game. So let's hop right into it. In my opinion, the biggest problem in this game, before anything else, is the pacing. It's more in line, very close to the original Super Mario Party, instead of the sort of pacing we got in Superstars. Now, this really baffles me for a bunch of different reasons. One of them is when you're playing with the AI, they move a lot faster than you do as a human character, which I just don't understand. But on top of that, I feel like having to see the same animations 500 times in a row is really unnecessary, and especially after you buy an item, it should quickly show it and move on to the next player. This sort of pacing really hinders the experience for me and stops me from being able to play multiple games. Most nights I'm only able to play one, at max two, and in some of the reviews I had heard, I thought people were just overreacting a little bit, but no, the pacing really hinders the experience for everyone to be able to enjoy the game. Just for an example, there's a game I played on the new mall map, I forgot what it's called. I think it's called Rainbow Galleria. I might be wrong, but I think that's what it's called. It took me 2.5 hours to play 15 turns on that board. And don't get me wrong, from now on I've kind of just been sticking to the 12 turn pro mode, but that's insane that 15 turns with friends, and I think an AI, took 2.5 hours. That should just not happen. And then on top of that, I played, I think, the Volcano Goomba board. See, I just can't remember the name of the boards off the top of my head. But for a 12-turn pro game, that still took over an hour and 40 minutes. And in my opinion, I think their estimation is about 100 minutes for a pro game. That's just too long. And we didn't even get an ally in that game. Could you imagine if we got allies? I mean, honestly, a lot of the issues with pacing are animations, unnecessary slowdowns when walking and talking to people. Stuff should be just a lot faster if you want it to be. I understand for newer players, they got to read through stuff and they want to learn stuff. That's fine. But the pacing is an issue. Everything just takes way too long to happen. My next complaint, and this one is not as bad as pacing, but in my opinion, the allies are quite busted. You can win the ally trio of minigames, and someone could steal it from you on the very next turn, and to me, that's a problem. I feel like you should need an item of some sort to be able to steal someone's ally while passing them, or you should have to offer like 2 of your items to be able to take the ally. I feel like it's just too easy to steal someone's ally after they just worked for it. And on top of that, the ally seems to be incredibly overpowered. And don't get me wrong, I do like the fact that you're playing for something, but the ally minigames, in my opinion, are just also way too long. There's nothing stopping them from cutting down these minigames to being half as long as they actually are, including, let's use an example of the DK rhythm game, which I think most people can admit is probably one of the worst ones. When you pass the ally, you get an advantage of your bubble or circle being much larger than the other players to hit the notes, and that's just way too much of an advantage. And then the game goes on for like 3 minutes. It's just way too long. They could have cut it in half and it would have been just fine. A lot of other games just give you a bit of a point advantage, but even then I feel like the point advantage is also too much sometimes as well. So there's a lot of balancing issues with these allies. And like, respect to them for taking a risk on a new feature that, in my opinion, isn't terrible. It's a really great concept, but there are some serious issues with it, including them appearing really late in games. I'm sorry, but on the second to last or last turn of the game, an ally should never appear. They should be appearing with a couple turns left. There's no reason to waste everyone's time when there's only a turn left in the game. 90% of the time, nothing would come of it anyway. To me, that's pointless, and the fact that you can't turn them off, in my opinion, is also another problem. I actually believe, in my opinion, that the allies probably don't belong in pro mode, and if they do, they should certainly not be as powerful as they are. But once again, this is something that could be discussed by a lot of you, and I think there's common ground we could all come to. I think the concept is fun and really, really neat, but the execution's not great for a multitude of reasons that I just listed. Next, I have a complaint about the motion minigames. Now, most of you, I think, will agree with me here without a doubt. Most of the motion minigames are bad. They are wagging your arm until you basically feel pain, and I don't feel like that's a good motion minigame. On top of that, in some situations, I don't know if you can even play the motion games online. I'm not entirely sure how it works, even though I played a bunch. I don't think you can do it in pro mode. I think they removed them, but you know, I could be entirely wrong. I think some of them are good concepts. The one where you have to nail the nails down with the hammer and the golf one are neat ways to use motion minigames. But having me waggle my arm relentlessly, just like in the A button mashing domination game, in my opinion, they just don't belong in modern Mario Party. There's way better ideas of games you can come up with, and they're in this game. The golf one, the nail and hammer one, those are skill-based ones instead of, you know, hurting your arm or hurting someone else. There's no point in having motion minigames like that, and I'd actually prefer if the series just moved away from motion minigames in general. They don't work well online usually. Just stick to the controller. I mean, once again, that's kind of just a take for me. But if you're gonna include motion minigames, focus less on them. Have like five of them, and don't include them in any pro modes or anything like that. Have it as like a casual thing, you know what I mean? Okay, this is a big one. The lack of minigames in the actual Mario Party mode is not good. They advertise 112, I believe, but only about 50 to 60 actually stay in rotation when you're playing actual Mario Party. And what's really frustrating is for the ally games, a bunch of really fun ones are stuck behind the allies. So you'll rarely ever play Bumper Balls through Mario's Ally, or Leaf Leap, which I still think is a really good game. The Waluigi Pinball game is such a good game, it could have been a minigame on its own, but instead you gotta play 3 minutes of it to win him as an ally. What I felt they should have done is made minier versions of those games as actual minigames, like Bumper Balls, like Leaf Leap, like some of those Peach games where you have to collect the stuff and bring it back. You could have turned those into minigames and made the ally game more expansive. So a regular minigame would usually take 30 seconds to a minute. You could have made the ally minigame take 1.5 to 2 minutes and have it as maybe a similar concept, but a bit different. Now, like I said, this is more of a preference thing on that idea. I'm sure you guys have better ideas. Maybe your opinion, they shouldn't have a minigame the same as an ally minigame. But the ally minigames are too long, and the regular minigames are just not big enough of a selection to keep me happy. Like I said, there's only 50 to 60 in rotation, and I think only 29 free-for-all minigames. And if you're picking the games you want to play against other people, more times than not, you're going to be playing the same 10 to 15 games over and over again. So in my opinion, they should have had a list comparable to Superstars at the bare minimum. And I understand there's a lot of other modes with great minigames, but incorporating some of those ideas back into the main party mode would have saved them here, instead of just like 50 to 60 minigames. Okay, this one's more of a gripe on the regular mode and not so much the pro mode, but I noticed while playing, stars can appear like 3 or 4 spaces away from each other. To me, that's a problem. I don't think that should be in Mario Party, but feel free to think differently than I do. I think that one's more of a small complaint over some of the serious ones I just talked about, but I just thought I'd throw it in there. I've had a couple games I was playing with friends where I would be, you know, or they'd be 3 spaces from a star, and then the next one spawns 4 spaces ahead of that, and they just get 2 stars on the same turn. I don't think that should ever happen. Another small complaint on top of that is, in my opinion, there's still way too many lucky spaces on these boards. Sure, it's a little bit less than Superstars, but it's still way too many. And there's also no Boo repellent in the game to stop Boo from stealing stuff from you. Even in Pro mode, I feel like it should be a strategy of sorts to be able to buy a Boo Bell and protect yourself. As someone like myself who, not to brag, but it usually does very well in Mario Party, I'm a constant target by everyone that I play against. Shouldn't I be able to earn something to defend myself? And sure, have it so that someone could use it on me and I lose it, just like in the original games. You know, but being able to buy it and protect yourself, I feel like would be something rewarding for playing well. And I don't understand why the Boo Repellent has never returned. It's such an important item and it should be in this game. And my last point to finish up this video, I think you should be able to group search and play any mode online worldwide. I think that's a huge mistake by Nintendo. My guess, it might be limitations of their service or the console, but I hope on the new Switch or the Switch 2, on the new Mario Party that comes out after this one, I should be able to get a group of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys together, either do, you know, Koopathlon or Kaboom Squad, or whatever their new names will be, or the new modes. I hope those modes do return, though, because, like I said, they are fantastic. Or just grab 2 or 3 people and search worldwide to finish up with other, you know, people to do a Mario Party board. I think that's not much to ask. I don't understand why it's not in this game. But, yeah, I mean, guys, that was my thoughts and complaints on why this is a good Mario Party, but it has some serious problems. And I do think Mario Party Superstars overall was a better experience for me than this game was. But they are close because the 2 side modes are absolutely phenomenal. They are really fun. And this is still their early versions. I can only imagine what they're going to turn into in the future. But they did really well with the minigames in that and the cooperative play in Kaboom Squad. It's really a good time, and especially for newcomers to the series, to experience something different than just the board game mode, which can get a little boring sometimes. And like I said, the pacing is such an issue that I could see people being pushed away from the board game mode and playing the other modes, because the pacing on those, in my opinion, is so much better. It feels like they understood the assignment on the new modes and didn't understand the assignment on the board game mode. If I'm playing, and especially hear me out here, if I'm playing at the pro level, they should skip most of the animations. I don't need to see them, and it should be an option to speed everything up if you're playing offline. I understand online if you want animations for the mode that's just the regular party mode, and you know, maybe that's just the more casual player that wants to play the game once every, you know, couple of weeks, and they come on and they want to see, you know, the beautiful animations and everything. But the text boxes should be much less, the animations should be much less, and in my opinion, more than anything else, the pacing in this game kills it. So those are my opinions. Let me know what you guys think. I'm still enjoying the game regardless. I'll be streaming it like you guys have seen me do. But yeah, what are your thoughts? Drop them in the comments. If I had to give this game a rating out of 10, I would be very close to that GameSpot review. I think the new modes, though, would push this to a 7 out of 10, and I would have given something like Superstars an 8 out of 10. So that's where I'm at. I think a 7 out of 10 is very fair, but if they were to fix most of those, or at least the pacing, but if there were even more issues fixed, this game could easily be an 8 or 9. But hopefully in the new Mario Party, we get the same amount of minigames that we had in Superstars. I think it's a huge miss, just like the pacing and everything else I explained, that there's only 50 to 60 in rotation. It's just not good enough. All right, well, thanks for listening, guys. I'll see you guys soon. Check out a live stream if you want. I know I did a lot of ranting and raving here, but I care a lot about this franchise, and I want it to be the best it can be. And I don't feel it's there yet, but it did make some good strides here. Hopefully it can be even better in the future.